The most scandalous and shocking facts about Donald Rumsfeld. Donald Rumsfeld, a dominant figure in American politics and military strategy, has been both admired and vilified over his long career. Serving as Secretary of Defense under two presidents, Rumsfeld's decisions and actions have sparked controversy and debate. Here, we delve into the 11 most scandalous and shocking facts about his life and career, shedding light on the man behind the headlines. Fact number 1. Youngest and oldest Secretary of Defense. Donald Rumsfeld has the unique record of being both the youngest and oldest individual to hold the position of U.S. Secretary of Defense. He first assumed this role on November 20, 1975, at the age of 43, under President Gerald Ford, and served until January 20, 1977. Rumsfeld's early tenure was marked by efforts to streamline military expenditures and enhance the U.S. defense posture during the Cold War era. He later returned to the same position many years afterward, serving from January 20, 2001, to December 18, 2006, under President George W. Bush, at the age of 74. His second tenure was heavily influenced by the events of September 11, 2001, which redirected U.S. military strategy towards combating terrorism, notably in Afghanistan and Iraq. Rumsfeld's leadership in both periods has been subject to extensive analysis and debate, reflecting his significant impact on U.S. military policy. Number 2. Personal life, marriage and family. Donald Rumsfeld's personal life was notably stable, highlighted by his marriage to Joyce Pearson, whom he met in high school. They married in 1954 and celebrated over 70 years together, a rare feat in the often transient world of Washington, D.C. politics. The couple had 3 children, Valerie, born 1956, Marcy, born 1959, and Nicholas, born 1961. Their relationship was seen as a bedrock of support, enabling Rumsfeld to navigate his complex and often controversial career. Joyce was known for her involvement in various philanthropic efforts, often with a focus on improving education and health, which complemented her husband's public service career. The Rumsfelds were frequently noted for their partnership both in public and private life, setting an example of enduring commitment amidst the pressures of political life. Number 3. The controversial Iraq War Memo. In a defining moment of his second tenure as Secretary of Defense, Donald Rumsfeld authored a memo in April 2003 that proposed the U.S. should consider military action against Syria and Iran following the invasion of Iraq. Dubbed the Snowflake Memo due to Rumsfeld's habit of sending numerous brief, often provocative memos to his staff, this particular document suggested a more aggressive strategy for the Middle East that could extend beyond Iraq. The memo was leaked and subsequently attracted widespread criticism, reflecting concerns about an overly militaristic approach at a time when diplomatic solutions were being advocated by many international and domestic observers. Critics argued that the memo illustrated a significant disregard for the complexities of the region and underscored a readiness to use military force without adequate consideration of the long-term consequences. This memo became emblematic of the controversies surrounding Rumsfeld's approach to international relations and military strategy. Number 4. The torture memos and Abu Ghraib scandal. During Donald Rumsfeld's tenure as Secretary of Defense, a series of legal documents known as the torture memos were drafted by Department of Justice lawyers in 2002 and 2003. These memos provided the legal rationale for the use of enhanced interrogation techniques, which were later employed in various U.S. military facilities. This controversial policy was thrust into the international spotlight in April 2004 when photographs from Abu Ghraib prison surfaced. These images showed U.S. military personnel engaging in the abuse of Iraqi prisoners, including instances of physical and psychological torture. The incident drew global condemnation and raised serious questions about U.S. military conduct and oversight. In response to the scandal, Donald Rumsfeld testified before Congress, acknowledging his administrative responsibility and revealing that he had offered to resign, an offer President George W. Bush declined. Number 5. The My Lai Massacre Cover-Up. Donald Rumsfeld served as a senior advisor in the Nixon administration during the time of the My Lai Massacre, a notorious episode during the Vietnam War when American troops killed several hundred unarmed Vietnamese civilians on March 16, 1968. The atrocity was initially hidden from the public, with details only surfacing after investigative journalists broke the story in late 1969. While Rumsfeld was not directly involved in the massacre, he was part of the administration during the subsequent cover-up efforts, participating in discussions aimed at managing the political fallout from the incident. This involvement has been cited as a significant blot on Rumsfeld's record, highlighting potential issues with his commitment to transparency and ethical governance during his time in government service. Number 6. The missing trillions. One of the most startling disclosures under Donald Rumsfeld's management of the Pentagon came on September 10, 2001, when he announced that the Department of Defense could not account for approximately $2.3 trillion in past transactions. This revelation exposed deep systemic issues within the Pentagon's accounting practices, highlighting a lack of oversight and financial accountability that was staggering in scale. The timing of the announcement, coming just one day before the terrorist attacks on September 11, meant that the issue did not receive the immediate public scrutiny it might have otherwise. Nonetheless, the missing trillions have remained a critical point of discussion regarding the need for comprehensive reform and greater transparency within the U.S. military's budgeting and financial management systems. Number 7. The Aspartame controversy. Donald Rumsfeld's tenure as CEO of GD Searle, the pharmaceutical company that developed the artificial sweetener aspartame, is marked by controversy. Aspartame's approval journey was fraught with challenges, initially rejected by the FDA in the 1970s due to concerns over its safety and potential links to brain tumors in animal studies. However, following Rumsfeld's appointment as Secretary of Defense under President Ronald Reagan in 1981, the FDA reversed its stance and approved aspartame for use in food products in 1983. Critics accused Rumsfeld of leveraging his political connections to influence the FDA's decision, despite ongoing debates about aspartame's safety. This led to allegations of a conflict of interest and undue influence, casting a long shadow over the sweetener's market entry and Rumsfeld's subsequent political career. Number 8. The infamous known unknown speech. In a press conference on February 12, 2002, Donald Rumsfeld articulated the challenges of military intelligence with his now infamous phrases known unknowns and unknown unknowns. This philosophical reflection aimed to explain the complexities and limitations of intelligence in the context of national security, specifically regarding the threats from Iraq. However, the speech was widely perceived as convoluted and became fodder for critics and satirists who viewed it as emblematic of the Bush administration's evasive communication style during the Iraq War. Rumsfeld's remarks were seen as a symbol of the administration's ambiguous and sometimes contradictory rationale for military actions in Iraq. Number 9. The Downing Street Memo. The Downing Street Memo, leaked in 2005, consisted of minutes from a 2002 meeting of senior British government, intelligence, and defense officials. This document suggested that the intelligence and facts were being manipulated to fit the policy of invading Iraq. Rumsfeld, as Secretary of Defense, was deeply involved in the Bush administration's push for the Iraq War, and this memo added to the controversy by implying that there was a deliberate effort to justify the war through intelligence that could be fixed around policy decisions. This revelation intensified the scrutiny and criticism of Rumsfeld and other U.S. officials, who were accused of manipulating intelligence to garner public and international support for the war. Number 10. The Fort Detrick Bioweapons Program. During his early years as Secretary of Defense under President Gerald Ford, Donald Rumsfeld had administrative oversight over Fort Detrick in Maryland, a military site historically linked to the U.S. biological weapons program. Although the official U.S. bioweapons program was halted in 1969, Fort Detrick continued to be associated with research into biological defense and, according to some, ongoing bioweapon research. No concrete evidence has directly implicated Rumsfeld in illegal activities related to bioweapons during his tenure, but his association with Fort Detrick has spurred various conspiracy theories and concerns regarding the transparency and legality of ongoing research at the site. Number 11. The role in the Pentagon on September 11th. On September 11, 2001, Donald Rumsfeld was in the Pentagon when it was struck by a hijacked airplane as part of the coordinated terrorist attacks. Instead of immediately evacuating, Rumsfeld was seen helping with rescue efforts, assisting in carrying injured personnel from the debris. His actions during the crisis were widely praised for demonstrating leadership and bravery. Rumsfeld continued to coordinate the military's response to the attacks throughout the day, highlighting his hands-on approach in a moment of unprecedented national crisis. This day was pivotal in defining his legacy, showing his commitment to his role and the safety of Pentagon staff and military personnel.